Welcome back to the screencast. In the last video, we saw the basics of the for loop, and in this video, we're going to understand how to use a for loop inside a real world scenario. So let's say you want to print out all the even numbers from 1 to 100. So we'll be using the for loop to do that. So let's say for I in. Yes. So the first step of printing the first 100 even numbers is to print all the numbers from 1 to basically 99. Now what range does is range actually is a bit complicated, so we'll only be focusing on this particular syntax of range where you pass only two arguments. So the first argument is the start index, the second argument is the end index. So what range is basically going to give you is it will return you each element. It actually returns a generator object, and it the generator object will return a value for each iteration of the for loop. So when you execute this code, what range will do is range will return each value starting with 1, ending with 100 minus 1, and incrementing it by 1. So now every line that starts with hash or the dollar sign is, I'm not sure if it is called a dollar sign, but it is called a hash sign. So the hash is a comment and it is going to be ignored by the interpreter. So what range of 1 to 100 is going to return me is it will return me a list of all values 200 or 299, sorry. But it won't directly return me a list which stores all values. What it will do is for each value here, so for first iteration, range will return a value 1. Now I is going to be 1 and then I will be printed 1. So for the second iteration, I is going to be having the value 2 because range did 1 plus 1 and it returned 2. Now why did it do 1 plus 1 is you did not specify a third argument. Now this can be the most explicit way of writing a range statement, and I highly recommend you to start using this, because what this tells the interpreter is return me all values from 1 to 100 and increment each value by 1. So for each iteration it is going to return me the previous value plus 1. So it kept on doing this and it printed 100, or sorry, the first 100 values. So now what I have to do is I have to print only the even number. So what I'll do, I'll use the modulus operator. Now the modulus operator takes the mod of I and the value that you give. Now if a value is even, then the mod of 2 of that value should be 0. So that is what we did in this if block. And as we know how to use indentation in Python, we were able to write this code. So now let's check if this program works, and it does. So let's skip 100 and let's take 10 because I want to understand it clearly. And by the way, if you want to clear the screen, just hit Ctrl and L. It will clear the screen. So now we printed the even numbers from 1 to 10 and it was this simple. Now let's print the odd numbers. Now I'll have to change this value to not equal to and we'll get the odd numbers. So the odd numbers from 1 to 10 are 1, 3, 5, 7 and 9. Now let's say you want to print out all the unique elements of a list. So now L is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So now we know that a set takes a list and it creates a set basically, and the value, or what we can say, the the way a set is defined is that it cannot store duplicate values. So we can use a set to remove all the duplicates value of L, and I'll have to store it inside another variable L. So now let's just print S. So we can see we got the values 1 to 5, but I do not want it to print all the values inside one line. I want it to print it line by line, so I'll be using a for loop. The syntax is same. Instead of L, you just do for I in S and print of I. Please note that I is the value which is going to loop over this set, each value of set, and it will return each one value for each iteration. So for the first iteration we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. So here the program will work even if I keep adding elements, and I got these unique elements. Now let's recap. We saw how to use the for loop to print the even and odd numbers from 1 to 10 and 1 to 100. That was pretty simple. The next task was a bit difficult if you are new to Python, and that was to find out all the unique elements inside a list and print them one on each line inside the terminal. So what we did was we used the set, because sets have a unique value. They can store only unique values, as sets do not allow duplicate values stored inside them. So when we defined a list of duplicate values, we created a set and stored that inside the variable s, and s then was all the unique elements inside the list, and then we just looped over this the variable s to print out I. So that was it about the second video of the for loop. Thank you for watching, and please stay tuned for the next video.